Yeah, let's bring you back. I've been having fun, exhaust wise. I'll tell you all about it. We're burning off solvents and oil and grease and stuff. Okay then, well while that's burning off all the WD-40 and everything that's on it at the moment, let you know what's going on if I can learn how to speak properly. I've just spent 2 hours trying to get the exhaust manifold bolts out of the Bandit, or header bolts. They're not studs, they're bolts. I'm sorted. I've been successful. We now have 8 freely moving bolts, all of which are clean and are now copper greased, copper slipped. The threads are clean, so I can take them in and out at will as I want, which I will be doing soon, because I'm either going to do a repair on the standard system that's on the bike. No, let's rephrase this. First, I'm going to do a repair on the standard system on the bike, or should I say, my very, very good friend Graham at work, the welder, will be doing a repair with a TIG machine on the system. After that, I may be keeping it as it is. I may get an aftermarket system to put on it. I don't really want to, but we'll see how it goes with the repair on the original system. I have looked through all of the available systems and I've picked one I like if I do go down that route, which is a very, very simple, basic, as near as possible to the look of the original exhaust. It's like a matte stainless steel brushed can. It's not a stubby, it hasn't got carbon on it, it hasn't got silly ends, or it's a round pipe. It's 350mm sleeve, 490mm end to end, written on my hand. A stainless system. It's from Lextech, which is part of Lexmoto. It's cheap, but I've looked at all of the reviews and everyone says they're good systems, like the old Motad systems I used to use. And it's got a removable baffle, which I will leave in, no doubt, because that's just me. So I've picked the one I want if I want it. First, we're going to repair what's on there and see how that goes. I'll bring the bike in as soon as it stops blowing smoke everywhere, and I'll explain what I've been doing. Okay, so the reason for all of this is anyone who's ever owned a Bandit will know that the headers come down, they go into the collector. They then originally had a sleeve on the end of the collector with some slots in it, and on the link pipe, which on your Mark 1s was separate from the muffler, if you like, there was another sleeve that went inside that sleeve, big sleeve, small sleeve, cardboard box, and a graphite and wire wool type gasket, and a clamp, and then a sort of nice shiny clamped on shield which covered up the fact that these all rot and die there. Every single Bandit I've owned, and there's a lot of them, has had a rotten collector, and I've always junked the system and put on a Motad. Well, Motad don't exist anymore, so the next best thing, if I go that way, is going to be this Lextech. There's Akrapovic and there's Delkovic. I'm probably pronouncing all these wrong. And Yoshi and all the expensive ones. I'm not interested. Just want something cheap that doesn't leak. But anyway, because I want to keep this original system, which, like most of them, is in great condition all the way to there and all the way up the headers apart from there. Now, somebody in the past has done a really good job. I'm not being sarcastic here. They have actually done a really good job of swaging a pipe, a pipe that fits pretty much exactly in this end and pretty much exactly in that end. It's a really good fit. And they welded it around both ends, but I'm guessing they used a MIG welder because it hasn't stuck. It's sort of cracked away from that pipe, and there's a little tiny bit of leakage. It's enough leakage to fail an MOT because you can feel it with your hand, but it's not drastic. It really isn't a lot. So the plan is to, I'm probably going to take this into work and get Graham to run some welds on this just to hold it in place, because it's going to be can off and then it's going to be a complete system all the way to the can. We were thinking about remaking this slotty business with a clamp and all that, 2 tubes, but there's no point. It's in the position it wants to be. This part is held by, I think there's 2 bolts holding this piece. There's definitely at least one there and one up there, so that's where it wants to live. These want to live there, so I'm going to get this tacked, or a couple of stitches on it, and then obviously now that I can remove the header bolts, I can take the can off the end, and while this is out of action for a bit, I can do more fettling work on the can. Sorry about the camera angles. And yeah, and Graham can clean this up and put 2 beautiful TIG welds around this, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. If in the future it decides to go again there for some reason, I don't know if there's tension there and you're supposed to have the gasket and the clamp to keep it a bit more flexible. If it goes again in the future, at least I know I can unbolt it, throw it all at the scrap men and stick a different system on. So let's just pause a second. Alright, this is far too waffle-mongous already. Long story short, 6 of the 8 of these bolts, they're all covered in copper grease at the moment, came out with that, which was brilliant. 2 of them, the middle 2, that's not very good because you're going sideways now, aren't you? The very middle 2, the one on the left, I had to use a lot of heat and a lot of penetrating oil and a lot of tapping and banging and a lot of this, that and the other. Eventually it came out, that was fine. The one on the right there, you'll notice, is a new stainless steel bolt. That one was rounded, so I had to get inventive. All the others, after having removed a lot of them, all 7 had perfectly clean threads, so they'd been out before. That one that I've replaced was solid rusty thread, so somebody had tried to take the system off before, got stuck with that when they rounded off the bolt, and they'd obviously cleaned up the others. So that one on the left there was a bit of a pain, took me an hour to get out, but it came out fine and clean and the thread's perfect. The one on the right, I got inventive. Oop. Okay, so that, yeah, that left hand one came out with a normal Allen 6mm socket and a bit of tapping and some heat with my smaller torch and lots of WD and bits, and you know, it came out after an hour. The one on the right, I had to get inventive with. This is the actual bolt that came out, which is not very happy. Anyway, I took a 6 was too small, a 7 wouldn't go in, a Torx bit wouldn't go in with a hammer, so I found myself with my digital micrometer, I found out that a 1/4 Allen key with a little bit of filing at the end went in, and then I took a 1/4 drive, 1/4 inch socket, smacked that on the end after cutting off the angled Allen key bit. This is all okay. Quarter inch drive, 1/4 inch socket, 1/4 inch Allen key. Not a lot of use to me at all, because I do not, and probably will never, own a Harley Davidson, he says. Watch this space. Anyway, smack that in and heat this, that and the other. Eventually it cracked open. Lube it, twist it, lube it, twist it, lube it, twist it, lube it, twist it for about half an hour. Got her out. The thread is actually okay. It's hard, you can't really see. It doesn't look great on there, but actually in real life, I'll take my word for it. Anyway, so that, I can't get the socket off of that. I can't get that off that. I've got loads of bolts. So I replaced that with one of my many fasteners. Found one the same length, same size, everything. Nice stainless. When I actually do this, I'm going to buy brand new stainless fasteners, copper ease them. I'll run a little tap down the threads just to chase the threads beforehand, and I will probably fit, I'm definitely going to fit stainless washers, because it can help. In my experience of having done dozens of these blooming things, I find that if you fit a washer, it can help where the head, although it's stainless, so is the flange on the manifold. They can still get corrosion sticking the head to the flange, whereas if you put a stainless steel washer in, it helps. I have been known in the past to put stainless steel washers in and stainless steel lock washers, so that when you get up to torque, which is not a lot on these, I'll have to look in the manual, you know, when you're crushing your new gaskets. Let's turn you around again. Just in case you're wondering, only thing I ever do with these is cut them up and make them into other things. That was something on the Escort. That was something on the Escort. Yeah, I don't actually use Allen keys. I tend to use them or them. Very rarely do I use any of those. That's why they're all chucked in a drawer. So I don't mind chopping them up and molesting them and junking them. Yeah, so obviously I'll get new gaskets, head gaskets, not head gaskets, you know what I mean, the little rings, crush rings. I always do them up to the torque in the Haynes manual, which is never a lot. On the Triumph, I think it was 20 Newton meters, 18, 20 Newton meters. It wasn't a lot. So what I tend to do is put lock washers on, split washers, lock washers on, as well as the normal washers, as well as the bolts. And it's worked for me in the past. I've got to say, I think this is the first one I've ever done where I've managed to get all 8 bolts out and leave the threads intact, not had any sheared off, and not had to drill out or, heaven forbid, helicoil the head. So yeah, successful. So, and on a different note, this thing, it's been sat in Colin's shop for a fair while, and just while it was dark outside, I noticed the side light wasn't coming on. Now I know the system worked because I've checked it before, and all it was literally was this switch, bit of corrosion. I've got electrical contact cleaner, squirted some in there, did what you do on a guitar when you get your pickup selector switch and it gets all crusty. Squirt some contact cleaner in there, give it a load of switches, working fine now. Yeah, anyway, preempting this, because I'm an impatient person, I actually ordered today a set of Allen sockets. Yeah, Allen wrenches on sockets, but I ordered some with long, I think nearly 6-inch Allen bits, because the ones I have I showed you already, the ones I have are short ones, and that tends to be up against the manifold itself. So I've ordered a set which is coming tomorrow which is fine. I'll use them for taking it off next time and putting it back on and being able to torque it. I also ordered a can of, I can't remember what it's called, it's like a freeze spray, because I was envisioning at least 2 or 3 of them being seized in solid, and I figured I'd try heat first, and heat and WD, which is the way I've always done it. But I ordered a can of it's like a freeze lubricant. You spray it on, it freezes it, so it shrinks it slightly, and then it's got lubricant in the spray as well, which is supposed to, once it's shrunk a bit, penetrate into the thread. Anyway, we'll save that for another bolt somewhere else for another day. I guarantee I'll have to use it on something, but happy days, it's worked. That is all I need to tell you. That was part 1 of the exhaust repair or replace on the Bandit. Now, if I was to ask you, what should I do? Should I repair it or replace it? Either way is fine by me. I'm happy with the price. I did 12 hours overtime last Sunday at double time, so I can afford to buy the system. Does that sound vulgar? I don't mean to. Anyway, I like to work for my money and then pay for things when I've got the money. I don't do credit and things. So anyway, that was a bit off topic. I can afford to buy a new system. Not an expensive one, not a Larry one. This one I'm looking at £306 for everything. So it's really cheap compared to a lot of systems. So anyway, should I repair this system, see how it goes, and then buy a new system? Should I just say, to hell with it, put the new system on anyway while the header bolts are good? What do you think? I know most of you will say, junk this system, it's rubbish, it's heavy, it's restrictive, put a new system on which will be lighter, freer flowing, and give you a couple more horsepower, probably, maybe, who knows. I'm still resisting that temptation, not because of the money to buy a new one, because I really, really, really want to keep this as it should be. The only one in the world with an original system. The reason none of them have got an original system is exactly that. They rot and fall to pieces. I'm happy with the power, I'm happy with the sound. I like quiet exhausts, as you well know. I'm sort of answering my own question here. I'd like to try and repair that bit down there. Okay, it's not going to be original, it's going to have a welded tube in it, but it lives underneath the sump, you can't really see it. So I've answered my own question. Repair the one you've got, live with it, see how it goes. Or maybe next week, when my wages comes from last Sunday, I might just say sod it and buy the other one I want. So what do you think? You tell me. I bet you all say get the new system. Peace and love. I've been Springy. See you for the next part, which it'll be repair or replace. See you later. Take care.